Hi there, I'm Mistel Godlewski, an American girl who called the cornfields of Illinois home until over 10 years ago when I started navigating the chaos of life overseas. If you've ever felt that itch for something more, that whisper telling you to break free from the ordinary, you're in the right place. This podcast is your backstage pass to the wild ride of moving abroad. I'm here to pull back the curtain on the real journey, sharing stories that are funny, dramatic, and sometimes downright unbelievable. We'll explore the gritty details, from battling culture shock and navigating tricky visa processes to celebrating those small victories that make it all worth it. So whether you're daydreaming about a new life abroad or already in the thick of it, grab your passport and let's explore what it really means to live life beyond borders. Welcome to A Broadly Speaking. Hey there, friend. Welcome to the A Broadly Speaking podcast. Well, my name is Mistel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. The A Broadly Speaking podcast is for those of us who've looked around and thought, wait a second, is this really it? I'm your no bullshit guide to your life abroad. And today we're blowing the roof off of something a little bit sacred, a lot untouchable, and a little bit wrapped in red, white, and blue delusion. Today's episode is all about the American dream being a lie, and it's okay to walk away from that. So let's get into it. If you've ever tried to explain to someone that you're thinking about moving abroad and they give you this little smirk, you've been part of this. It's the, things aren't perfect anywhere, right? Smirk, or my favorite, running away won't fix your problems. And the real quicker is, but the American dream, you're giving up on the American dream. No, honestly, I never gave up on the American dream. I'm calling it what it is today. It's a lie, a very profitable, very seductive, very persistent lie. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, especially if you've been fed the idea that success looks like a mortgage, 2.5 kids, a white picket fence, and working 50 hours a week just to afford checks notes. Oh, groceries and health insurance, maybe? But here's the real thing. Some of us swallowed that pill, choked on it, and spit it the hell back out. Some of us did everything right. We got the degrees, we played by the rules, we grinded and hustled and stayed late and saved and sacrificed, and we still ended up burnt out, broke, and wondering what the hell went wrong. I know I did. And somewhere between paying $800 a month for health insurance and walking a kid to school that had more active shooter drills than art classes, people realized that this wasn't a dream. It was a trap. And that's what this episode is all about, telling the truth about the dream that never actually existed for us and giving you full permission to walk away from it. Let's talk about who the American dream was built for, because newsflash, it really wasn't built for all of us. It was built for white, middle-class, able-bodied, straight men with wives at home to do the emotional labor and kids who could afford to dream because daddy's union job came with a pension. It was never meant for Black families redlined out of homeownership or queer couples denied legal recognition until maybe a decade ago? And even then, it's up for grabs. It wasn't built for immigrants unless they were perfectly palatable and ready to assimilate. And it sure wasn't built for single moms or women in general, disabled folks, or people who couldn't fit into a neat little checkbox of quote unquote normal. And I say this as someone who did benefit from parts of the system. I'm white, I'm straight, I have access to an education, and still it ate me alive. So imagine what it's doing to everyone else. We have to stop pretending that the American dream is this universally attainable thing. It's not. It's an inheritance of privilege wrapped in a bootstrap bullshit. The longer we keep pretending that quote unquote hard work is the secret to escaping the systemic oppression, the more damage we do. You don't owe your life to a country that keeps moving the goalposts. Let me tell you something really personal. When I was around 30 years old, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And nothing snaps you out of the maybe next year bullshit like a diagnosis that puts this year on the chopping block. Suddenly, all the things I'd been tolerating, the stress, the hustle, the American grind culture, it all looked different. And I had to truly ask myself if this was the end, if I died at the end of my cancer battle, would I feel proud of how I lived? Would I be satisfied with the fact that I spent my best years chasing promotions and side hustles and PTO days that were always quote unquote pending approval? The truth is, the answer to that was easy, and it was no, because my body had been whispering this isn't sustainable for years before it screamed it. I've heard a number of times a specific little anecdote, I think is the word that a business coach of mine said once. And honestly, it sticks with me for life. When you have something going on, life first comes at you with a feather and it tickles your neck. And many of us ignore it because, these problems, you can just brush off a tickle in the neck. But when things start getting bigger, it comes through the window. And instead of being a tickle at your neck, maybe it's a brick through the window that has this specific message for you. It's life sending you a specific message. And it's easy to take the brick out, look at the message, say, it's not important right now, fix the window and move on. But at some point, life comes at you with a big Mack truck and it runs your ass right over. And that cancer diagnosis was my big Mack truck running my ass right over. And let me tell you, it ran me over hard and fast. And the truth is, I don't want any of us, any of you to have to go through that. Because my God, if that's whatever your Mack truck moment is that tells you it's time to move, sometimes that's too late. And sometimes that Mack truck hits you over and over and over again until you get it. So I want you to look right now, just for a second, as you're driving or you're listening to this, as you're walking or whatever you're doing, take 1 second today, whether that's in the exact moment now and you can pause it, or when you have some time this afternoon, look for the Mack truck in your life. Is there a Mack truck that's hitting you over and over and over again, telling you to move? And if there's not, amazing, but look for the brick or look for the feather, because we want to find the problem when we hit the feather, not when we hit the Mack truck. So for just today, look if there's signs in your life that are telling you to move abroad. Look for the signs that are telling you it's time to go, because hopefully it doesn't take a Mack truck cancer diagnosis like it did for me to make the change. And the real kicker of all of the change that happened for me, of all of the cancer diagnosis, was getting sick in America literally bankrupts people. Fortunately, I had amazing health insurance and I worked in a pharmaceutical company that really covered everything for me. And I had to pay still $5,000 out of pocket every year for 2 years to cover surgeries and cover chemo and cover all the drugs and things that I needed. And my God, we did not have that $5,000 to spend, but we found it, thankfully. A lot of people can't do that. It ruins families. It ends lives, not because illness is untreatable, but because the system is. So, yeah, cancer was my Mack truck that changed the game for me. It made the quiet part loud. It reminded me that I wasn't promised next year or next week or even tomorrow. And if I was going to live, I damn well wasn't going to do it on someone else's terms. You know what's worse than being stuck in a system that's failing you? Being told you should be grateful for it. Grateful to live in the best country in the world. Grateful for the opportunity to work 3 jobs just to afford childcare or healthcare. Grateful that you're allowed to protest so long as you do it quietly, respectfully, and without blocking traffic. Let me say this loud for the people in the back. Turn this up so you can hear it. Gratitude does not require martyrdom. You can love parts of your country and still choose to leave it. You can walk away without needing to explain yourself to anyone. Gratitude does not require martyrdom. You don't need to lose yourself to make a country better. The Guilt Olympics this year, they're canceled. They're over. They're done. And if anyone tries to tell you that leaving means you're giving up, remind them that staying in a burning building is not bravery. Sometimes it's just self sabotage. Now, that's a lot of motivational talk and a lot of heavy stuff. So let's get practical because I know the fears are loud and some of them are valid. What about money? What about healthcare? What about aging parents or student loans or my kids' schooling? Yep, all of those absolutely valid questions. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Moving abroad is absolutely work. It takes planning and strategy and sometimes a little financial wizardry to make it all happen. But it is not impossible. And most importantly, it might be the sanest thing you ever do. Because what I've found and what I've helped other people discover is this: life abroad doesn't fix everything, but it does give you back the one thing America rarely hands out without a fight, which is breathing room. Breathing room to figure out what you actually want, breathing room to parent without fear, breathing room to afford the medical care that you need, breathing room to just be a person without always having to be in survival mode. And that is worth it. So let's talk about what happens when you stop chasing the dream they handed you and start defining your own. When I moved abroad, I started to realize how many of my goals were actually just coping mechanisms. Get the promotion was prove I'm worthy. Buy the house was, oh, I feel stable. Work harder was to stay ahead of anxiety. But once I had this space, real physical mental space, I started dreaming differently. I started asking, what would it look like to actually enjoy my life? What if stability didn't mean a mortgage, but a slower pace of life? What if success wasn't how much I could earn, but how rested I felt, how safe my daughter was, how many days I ended without a stress migraine? And slowly but surely, I let myself want more. Not more in the capitalist sense, not more money, not more stuff, but more whole life sense, more ease, more safety, more time, more joy, hell, even more days off. The kind of things you can't always quantify, but you sure as hell can feel them. And here's the part that really truly gets me emotional. As you all know, if you've been here a while, I'm raising a daughter. She just turned 8. And I think about what she'll remember, what she'll learn from the way that we live, what we're teaching her, not with our words, but with our choices. And I want her to know that opting out is not giving up, that you're not obligated to break yourself for somebody else's dream, that you can walk away from a system that harms you and still love yourself fiercely. Because this isn't about me. It's about generational change. It's about choosing something better, not just for yourself, but for the people who come after you. That's the legacy I'm building. And I have absolutely no regrets about it. So if you've been sitting here wondering, is it okay to want out? Is it selfish to leave? Is it weak to walk away? Let me give you your answer absolutely loud and clear. Ready? Yes, it's okay. No, it is not selfish. And walking away is sometimes the strongest, bravest thing you'll ever do. The American dream was always a lie, but the life you're dreaming of now, that doesn't have to be. And if you want help figuring out how to make it real without the bullshit, the overwhelm, or the Pinterest perfect travel influencer nonsense, I've got you. I built a program called Abroad, and I'm happy to share that information in the show notes with you. That's what this podcast is for, to try and help you understand the process of moving abroad. And that's what you, my friend, deserve more than anything else. This is another fun episode of A Broadly Speaking. I hope this helped you. If this episode hit you in the gut in a good way, go ahead and share it with a person who keeps telling you to just be grateful. And if you're ready to start crafting your own escape plan, check out the Reach mini courses or the Full Abroad program that I've linked in the show notes. We're not just moving, we're reclaiming what life is supposed to feel like for you. I will see you next time, my friend. Thanks for tuning in to Broadly Speaking. If today's episode got you dreaming a little bigger or thinking a little braver, go ahead and hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who's ready for their own adventure. And hey, don't be a stranger. Come hang out with me over on Instagram at @IamEstelle for the real, unfiltered life abroad. Keep that passport handy, and remember, life's too short to stay in one place.